This kind of Australia isn't merely possible, it's coming into being right now by the sheer force of will of thousands of people in every town and city in the country. Some of the ideas are new, some of them are very old. What keeps me optimistic is the collective vision held out by so many people working everywhere toward a renewable community, because that's the place I want to live. This isn't the end of economic growth, but the beginning of a conversation about what kind of growth we need and what kind we can no longer afford. It's about how to truly live as human beings on a fragile planet. In the early 19th century, it was discovered that all you needed to do to generate an electric current was to spin a magnet. So let's go back to first principles. In a few metres of seawater off the coast of Fremantle, there's a beautifully simple device attached to the seabed that harvests the energy of the incoming swells and pumps water at very high pressure through a Pelton generator onshore, producing electricity. Throw a switch and the salt water diverts through a reverse osmosis filter, and out comes fresh water. The company is so impressed after several years of testing that they're now proposing wave energy farms with dozens of these devices arrayed together on the seafloor, generating baseload electricity and fresh water day and night. Senators might also be aware of the quiet genius behind the oil mallee plant under development in the Western Australian town of Narrogin, a facility that will produce electricity for domestic use, as well as exporting activated carbon and eucalyptus oil. It gives farmers a cash crop and a chance to restore the landscape of some of our most important agricultural areas. You're probably also aware of the modest uptake of wind energy under the former government's mandatory renewable energy target. That restricted program could have laid the groundwork for world-class wind energy hubs and community-owned wind farms that give regional areas another badly needed revenue stream, while drawing cheap, reliable, large-scale renewable energy out of the air itself. A couple of weeks ago, some of us attended a briefing here by one of Australia's preeminent geothermal energy companies, who are poised over the next few years to affordably tap the heat of the deep inner earth for the first time anywhere in the world. Hot rocks technology is deceptively simple, but its potential is virtually limitless. And it's an acknowledged tragedy that a decade of neglect saw Australia lose our edge in the field of solar research and development, but we're going to get it back. Give us a national feed-in tariff and legislated renewable energy targets, and within a few years we will be on our way to living in a solar nation. We are going to transform our sunburned country with PV on every roof and large solar thermal plants feeding baseload electricity into the grid around the clock. A couple of years ago, the federal government's own studies show that with off-the-shelf technology, with an average payback time of 4 years, we could cut domestic energy consumption by a massive 30%. Up the ante with more ambitious efficiency measures, with an average 8-year payback, and we could cut demand by 70%. Efficiency is the hidden gift in energy policy that we've ignored for far too long. With the kind of leadership inspired by Senator Christine Milne's Energy Efficiency Access and Savings Initiative, or EASY, it's time to grab this gift with both hands and pursue energy efficiency as though our lives depended on it. One rather profound consequence of a renewable energy system is that once the infrastructure is in place, the fuel costs are largely free. No one can own the sun, the wind and the tides, and perhaps it is this which scares the fossil corporations more than anything. I think it's time we admitted that far from being an economic and social disaster, greening our communities is going to transform our society for the better. Traffic congestion, for example, is something that we can leave behind as our urban areas evolve toward pedestrianised, human-scale urban villages linked together with world-class broadband and fast, affordable mass transit. Transit-oriented developments like these are taking shape all over Europe, East Asia and North America, anchored by medium and high-density cores that blend affordable housing with retail services, healthcare, education and childcare centres and cultural institutions. Electrified light rail systems and electric vehicles hold out the promise of a transport network that runs on sunlight. Imagine if we could invent a zero-carbon form of personal transport that had no fuel costs, emitted no toxic chemicals and improved the physical health of the passenger. Well, such an invention is already in wide use in parts of our community where planning policies favour bicycles and pedestrians instead of cars. In a renewable society, we will no longer have the debatable luxury of eating heavily processed, overpackaged food-like products from the far side of the planet, when community-supported agriculture is restored to its rightful place at the foundation of good health and neighbourhood development. Instead of condemning families on low incomes to badly designed, mass-produced, car-dependent housing in bleak fringe areas, Australian cities can become places of artful beauty again, with a diverse mix of private and affordable community housing, more appropriate to an ageing population and changing demographics and lifestyles. An energy-efficient Australia can be renewably powered within a generation. With determination and a bit of foresight, we can step past the desperate handful of fossil advocates who are scaremongering about the end of the economy as they know it and demanding that Australia should not get too far in front of the rest of the world. The most damaging myth of all is the one that says this can't be done. People who say it can't be done need to get out of the way of those who are doing it. The Greens are the tip of the iceberg, really, the parliamentary expression of much deeper currents within society. And I wouldn't be here tonight without the work of thousands of Greens WA volunteers who gave up a Saturday last November to work on a polling booth, or the wonderful campaign team who gave up the better part of 2007 so that we'd have a fighting chance come election day. 4 good friends saw me through the personal highs and lows, so to Elise, Steph, Rena and Marie, thank you. Warmest possible thanks are also due to Ray, Trish, Luke and Christo, who were the nucleus of this huge effort, and in particular, my thanks to Dave and Alison, who were there for me right from day one until we saw it through. Having you here tonight is really a gift, so thank you. We had a superb team of lower house candidates and their supporters who put in the hard work in their local communities all over Western Australia. And in turn, we were part of a huge mobilisation nationally, guided by the inspiring, gentle-humoured and seemingly inexhaustible Senator Bob Brown. I can't help but reflect on what might have been for those who shared the roller coaster with Sarah and I, Richard, Larissa, Alan, Kerry Tucker and of course Kerry Nettle, but for the capriciousness of our electoral system. I know you guys are here with us in spirit as we carry this work forward. Senators will notice a number of new faces and some familiar ones behind the scenes. With formal party status for the first time, the 5 of us in here are supported by an expanded and very talented team of researchers, advisors and campaigners who are already too numerous to thank individually for their work. But I'll settle for singling out my team for huge gratitude. Trish, Ray and Flick, thanks for being here and taking this journey with me.